And I've seen people who've got some severely flashy ball going kit and stuff like that. And some of them are high ranking and some of them not so much. So, you know, you can buy what you want. It's your money, your practice, you know. I think this is quite a good point. I think what you're struggling with here is you're trying to jump the same distance every time you jump into hit, which is probably why you're often landing too close. Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. We've got some questions for you today. We're going to jump to them in just a moment. Hello to everybody joining us on Instagram Live. Hello to everybody watching us later on YouTube. If you don't follow us on Instagram, get to KendoStar International. Get us followed in Instagram right now, okay? So that you can join the live stream next time, okay? So we do these, I've been doing this for the last few weeks now, where when I film Kendo Rant, I'm filming it as normal for YouTube, but I'm also streaming it live for Instagram. So yeah, follow us on Instagram so you can join us live. Anyone joining us on Instagram, if you want to fire us a question, you can pop them in the comments there. We don't have so many questions to get through today, so it should be a nice, short, sharp ninja episode today. We'll get to it in just a moment. Just adjust my Instagram camera there. Right, okay. Before we jump to the questions though, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. Hello, Instagram. Follow us on Instagram and leave a comment down below, especially on YouTube. Leave us a YouTube comment saying what a great Kendo channel, best Kendo video I've ever seen. You have to use the word Kendo, all right? Let's get those YouTube ninjas out there, get them getting loads of people to start Kendo. And yeah, we can benefit from the YouTube magic. So yeah, don't forget to do that. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, all the socials, all that sort of thing. Most importantly though, if you like what we do, if you like the content that I put out there, completely free, as you know, completely free. Don't ask you to pay for subtitles, no subscriptions, no memberships. We've got these rant videos, weekly Q&As. Anyone joining on Instagram, by the way, pop a question in the comments. I'll answer it on stream. We've got these weekly Q&As via Kendo Rant. We do feedback videos. We do analysis videos. We do instructional content. It's all free of charge. All you have to do to support the channel, keep us doing it, is shop at KendoStar.com. KendoStar is the best Kendo equipment website in the galaxy. So it's a real win-win. Now, of course, I would say that because I own the place. All right? But shop at KendoStar. You get the best equipment, you get the best service, and you get to support the channel at the same time. Everyone's a winner, baby. That's the truth. That is the ancient samurai phrasing that was on someone's war banner. I'm sure of it. Okay, right. Now, let's get to these questions. All right, we don't have many to get through today. All right, so it might be a nice, short and sweet episode. Hello, Vish Sensei. I'm interested in the horse and Shinai bags, but I wanted to double check something first. They're not for high-ranked practitioners only, or for people who compete regularly, are they? Meaning any Kendoka can buy one and not seem out of place. Okay, this is a great question. All right, so people often ask about this, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit because you're asking about the Horse-en Shinai bags. Horse-en Shinai bags are part of our imported series, which are a premium brand of tailor-made Japanese Shinai bags. They're absolutely beautiful. And basically, of course, they're for any level of Kendoka. And it's really important, actually, I think, that we talk about this. And I really don't, I've never liked this sort of, this kind of thing that's a sort of push that, you know, unless you're a high-ranked Kendoka, you're not allowed to have good quality equipment. That's total nonsense. It's your money and it's your equipment. You're entitled to you know, invest in it however you like. Now, of course, you don't want to be, at the same time, you just started Kendo, you don't want to be dropping loads of money on something when you're not really sure if it's really for you or not. But at the same time, once you sort of got a grip of practicing and you're into, you know, into it and you know it's for you, then yeah, I don't think it's a problem at all to invest in better quality equipment. And that goes to the Borgo as well. Now, I'm not saying you should drop like, you know, several thousands on your first Borgo set. That's probably not the best idea because you're not totally in tune with exactly what it is that your preferences are. But, you know, you don't have to buy the cheapest one because you're a beginner either. You know, you can invest in it because it's there to, you know, it's not necessarily something you have to compromise on. And there we go with the Horse-en Shinai bags as well. Now they're an entirely, like, it's a practical item in that it's something for storing your Shinai, but at the same time, you know, the Horse-en version, a premium item that is, other than serving the practical purpose of storing your shinai. Other than that, it's a kind of, you know, it only serves an aesthetic purpose after that. So it's entirely up to you. And no, and anyone that judges somebody for that is wrong. That's not how you're supposed to do it. All right. You shouldn't judge anyone, you know, oh, you're not good enough for that kind of shinai bag. No one should say that. If they do that, they're doing Kendo wrong. Okay, that's not what Kendo's about. All right. It's a bit like the age-old question of the different coloured door. Should you only have a black door if you're a beginner? Now, look, if you like having the standard black door, that's no problem. Yeah, that's cool. But you don't have to have a black door as a beginner. You can have whatever colour door you want. And anyone that tells you that having a brightly coloured door or fancy door is like asking for a beating or something like that, that's not cool. You know what I mean? It's kind of bullying, really. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't do that sort of thing. Like, you never see that in Japan, by the way. You know, it's a totally, like, in my experience so far, sort of like non-Japanese concept. And I've seen people who've got some severely flashy Borgen kit and stuff like that. And some of them are high ranking and some of them not so much. So, you know, you can buy what you want. It's your money, your practice, you know. Luca in the comments says, hey, hi Sensei, every time I try to do men fast, I lose straight posture. I try to focus on my left foot, but it doesn't work. Do you have any tips? Yeah, probably either, well, most likely, I think your left heel is potentially either too high or flat on the ground, okay? So you need to get that right balance, and you need to be using the ball of your left foot to push diagonally away. Have that feeling in your kamae, in your standard kamae. Have it almost like you're putting tension diagonally away, and whilst your right foot is, you know, it's trying to push your right foot forward, whilst your right foot is kind of stopping that, and you've got this kind of tension between the 2 feet as you move around in your ashitawaki. And then when you go to hit, you need to push forward, but you need to move forward with your hips. Okay, move forward with your hips, and the way you can fix this is practicing suburi. Okay, practicing suburi, right? You push your hips forward as you do the swing. If you watch the video that I did on suburi, if you look at the method number 3, where you move the right foot first, push the right foot first out, push the right foot out first, and then swing at the last minute, this will help you with it. It will help you with this exact issue that you're having, all right? But don't be too strict on yourself either, all right? It takes time to fix this sort of problem. It's not something you're going to fix in 2 or 3 weeks, all right? It's going to take you months or possibly years, all right? Probably years, to be honest, of dedicated and diligent practice, all right? But I know you can do it. All right? Okay, next question. Anyone else who has questions in the Instagram live, by the way, you can pop them in the comments there, and I will certainly answer them as we're going. We don't have many questions to go through today, so could be a short stream. This video, okay. So this comment is from a older video. I can't remember which one it is, but it's like one that I did years ago. And it says, this video is amazing. Thank you for sharing. I love KendoStar products. Definitely the best around. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's not the reason I copied this comment in, though. Would you ever consider creating a DVD downloadable instructional video, basically covering the same things just with multiple angles and slow motion? I imagine that it'd sell incredibly well. You could produce offensive series, chain attacks, counter attacks and defensive movements, footwork and drills to win a series of for home study or clubs to use to make improvements. That's a lot of products that I'm sure people would snap up based on how good your free content is. Finding English content on Kendo isn't the easiest, and your explanations are clear and understandable, making the complex concepts, that's a bit of a tongue twister, more easily accessible, and that's a great combo for an amazing tutorial series. Well, look, I appreciate that what do you say? I appreciate that, comment. Would I consider making a DVD or like a downloadable series of videos, which I expect you mean people would pay for? I don't think so. I don't think so. If I was going to go into, I'd like to make more videos. I would, but it's extremely time consuming and I'm extremely busy. I have a lot of stuff to do. Obviously, I have a lot of plates to spin at KendoStar, making sure all the sort of cogs are functioning as they should be. But I also I am somewhere every week doing Kendo these days. You know, people ask me to come and teach seminars, both here in the UK and abroad, traveling around the world. I mean, it sounds like a great jet-setting lifestyle, which it is, and I love it, and I'm extremely grateful for it. I really am, because I do love it. But it does limit the time that I've got to produce videos. Part of the problems that I have with producing videos is, one, getting a space where I can do it. Now I have my usual dojo where I produced the last few videos, but then I also need someone to do it with, and someone to film it. So it needs three of us to do it. So I think in my last video, my daughter Nagomi was in the video. Miyabi's been doing it as well with me in the past, but she doesn't live with us now. She's living in Japan now. And yeah, and my wife Miyuki, she's been in a few, but Miyuki works at KendoStar too, and she's super busy also. So so it's hard to get everything together so that we can get a video put together. But if I was to sort of, you know, and I do want to, you know, make more video content and higher quality video content. And I have invested in better equipment recently, so you will be seeing improved videos soon. But I don't think that I don't think I would put them behind a paywall. Let's put it that way. I think the whole reason I started KendoStar in the first place was, yes, obviously the equipment side of it is a huge part of it, but the Kendo show is also a huge, you know, important part of the project, because the whole thing in the first place is there to help people and to help Kendo become more accessible. So if I was, you know, videos, I'm really passionate about putting videos out there, instructional videos out there, but I'm also very passionate about keeping them accessible, rather than selling them. So I don't see myself putting them out behind a paywall. I have looked at publishing printed media, so like an instructional book. That's a sort of project that's in the sort of peripheries of my side projects, but again, it's something that I've got a lot of, you know, it's probably not on the immediate horizon, but it is a project that I would like to do at some point, and I'd probably like to integrate that with some kind of digital media, perhaps QR codes that link to videos online and stuff like that. But whether they would, I wouldn't. I don't, like I say, I don't like the idea of making videos and then putting them behind a paywall, or making them like on, you know, making people have to pay for them. It's one of the things I pride myself on, really, is that I put this content out for free. Some comments here from Instagram. We've got Hello Fish Sensei. If you reacted instinctively in the heat of a moment and blocked someone's men attack in a shiai with your arm, would that be handsoku or warning? Right. So I think what you mean is, like, if they hit your men and you kind of go like this, right? It's a grey area and it depends on the situation. I don't have a rule book up here, so I can't read you out the specific rules or what have you. I think you will be getting into a grey zone there, to be honest, because it's a dangerous action, even if it's dangerous towards yourself. Okay, so it could result in injury to yourself. Yeah, you could get your fingers broken if you put your hands up like this and they're hitting you. It's a terrible strategy as well, so please don't do it. Okay, but yeah, it could be a penalty, depending on the context of the entire situation. Okay, all right. So, you know, we're talking in severe hypotheticals here. And Miguel's comment says, in response to that, if blocked long enough, it can even be kote. That's kind of unlikely, because, you know, a men's strike and a kote strike are very different mechanically. And it's, I mean, it could be if the opponent notices that your arm's up here and then they change their men's strike to a kote strike, But if they accidentally, let's say accidentally hit your kote instead when they're trying to hit your men, that's not going to be the kote strike, if that makes sense. And then another one from Instagram, I'll get back to the YouTube ones in a sec. It says, how to deal with arrogant higher level kendoka. I met someone from another club, I assume, and he said it's not keiko with people lower level, and he's only 4th dan and I'm 3rd dan. I was thinking by myself, this person will be teaching students some way, and this is mindset now. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough one, isn't it? I try not to interact with people like that. All right, you know, says, oh, I don't practice with low people. Okay, fine. Okay, bye. You know, if you're able to do that, that's the best. You know, and they won't get far with that kind of attitude. They won't get far with that kind of attitude, frankly. So you're not losing anything by not practicing with somebody like that, if you want my opinion. Oh, we're getting plenty on Instagram. Who do you think is the current best player in Europe? That's a difficult question. I don't like to call people's names out. The current best player in Europe. Koichi Nakabayashi. Yeah, that's it's a pretty easy answer for me, actually. I love his kendo. I love him as a guy. From France, by the way. He's from France. Okay. Oh no, I'm nearly skipping past a question there. Right. Okay. Oh, we've still got more. Here. It says, kind of similar question. If someone ski attack goes under your door cord and you touch the shinai to remove it, is that handsoku too? I asked because it happened on Jigeko. In the shinai, yes, that's handsoku. If you do that, if they try to ski, it goes on here and you grab hold of the shinai, that's the handsoku. That's the handsoku. Okay. Right. Next question here says, I'm still thinking about that previous question about best player in Europe. I'm thinking all these other names of great players that are coming up. And so I'm not diminishing any other player in Europe, by the way, at all. But I really like Koichi's kendo, and I love how it's changed in the last few years for the better. He was amazing before, and he just got so much better. And he's got a great mindset to kendo as well. But he's a shining star in a galaxy of shining stars in the French team. You know, they're all brilliant. So, and there's loads of players in Europe that are amazing. So anyway. Someone's gonna clip this and send it to him. Send it to him. Hi, Koichi. You're doing great. I love what you're doing. As I told you when I last saw you. Right. Hello, Sensei. I have several odd bit questions today. Do you think that there's a best time of day to practice? If schedules aren't an issue, what is your experience of the best time of day to get the most out of your kendo? And 2, what do you suggest I do to take? Right, let me start this again. What would you suggest I do to take what I'm practicing in Kihon to my Jigeko and competition level? Okay, great. I like this. Okay, so best time of day to practice kendo. This is a real paradox for me, right? Because I hate waking up in the morning. It's but at the same time, like going to kendo like after work and a hard day of work and all that stuff is not great either, is it? So yeah, it's yeah. I reckon the best time of day is like the morning, is the best time to practice, like 10 o'clock in the morning, especially if you live close to the dojo, so you don't have to get up stupid early in the morning. But you know, there's arguments for asageko and stuff like that, but I don't. It's not for me. It's not for me. So yeah, that's probably the best, and if schedules aren't an issue, if I could practice every day at 10 a.m., that would be good. I'd like that. Or 11 a.m. Anyway, what would you do to suggest take what I'm practicing in Kihon into Jigeko and competition level? It has to become something that is fixed to your body and your it has to become sort of second nature. To you, so repetition in the keiko is obviously the first part of that. And then in your jigeko, you have to just focus on it a little bit, all right? Don't just use the jigeko to think about hitting and not being hit. Maybe focus on trying to keep your kihon stuff together. And that will naturally bleed itself to, or bring itself to competition as well. Question in the comments says not James Wright. James Wright is also a fantastic, amazing player as well. So yeah, I mean, there's hundreds of brilliant, amazing players in Europe. This is why, it's a difficult question to answer, but yeah, there's plenty brilliant, amazing players in Europe. It's difficult to name just one. How can I encourage my university kohai to come to city clubs more often? Can be quite daunting, especially considering who runs my city club. I'd really like to see more of my moderns present. I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? And I can't really speak too much to university kendo because it's not something I'm massively involved in or have huge experience in either. But I would say that, just try to be, I think all you can try and do is try to be as friendly as possible and try and be as naturally encouraging to them. And I think you got a couple of ways to do it. One thing you could do, you could try and organize like a semi-formal, like dojo trip to the club. Okay, right, guys, we're going to organize a trip to the local city club. I know you might be intimidated by the high grade sensei there, whatever. But actually, you don't need to be the super nice. It's going to be fun. We're all going to go together so we can all have a great time. And liaise with the city club before you do that as well. And see if you can set it up as like a little mini event. And then the second thing is, the other thing you could try and do is, have you tried inviting the teacher of the club, especially if you think that they might be intimidated by the, seniority or something like that? And the reason I say that is because I know that, I know, Alec, I know the situation you're in. So obviously, I think they're probably intimidated by the rank and position of the person. Have a word with them, that teacher, and see if they've got time or will be willing to maybe visit the university club as a guest teacher or something, and try and break that barrier a little bit and maybe make people feel a little bit more comfortable to go and join, if that makes sense. Okay, we're at the last one on here. We've got another Instagram one here. It says, hello, what's good to practice during asageko? The same stuff you practice at every other keiko. The same stuff you practice at every other keiko. But yeah, I think that's a great thing to practice. Somebody's writing, why not James Wright? Look, I already answered that. There's every... It's not. Someone asked my opinion of who the best player in Europe is, and my personal favourite player in Europe right now on the competitive scene is probably Koichi Nakabayashi, and it's probably because he's my friend, and and I really respect the journey of his kendo. It's not to diminish the ability or achievements of anybody else whatsoever. There's lots of amazing, brilliant kendoka on the European scene. All right, so it's not just because I particularly I'm a fan of one particular person doesn't mean it's like I really love Eiga Sensei's Kendo doesn't mean that I don't think that Miyazaki Masahiro is not an amazing Kendoka as well, because they both are amazing Kendoka, and so is Matsuzaki Kenshiro, and but like if somebody asks me right now, don't forget, right, there's a generational gap as well here, right? Someone asks me who my favorite Kendoka of all time is, I'm going to say someone like Takanabe Sumu or maybe Eiga Naoki Sensei or something like that. I'm not going to probably say like Hoshiko Keito or something like that, who is an amazing Kendoka. So because I said I like this person's Kendo doesn't mean that I don't like or don't respect or think that that person's is good as well. Okay, so let's keep that clear before we start stuff like that. All right, okay. And also, it's not really the done thing to be picking people from my own country, is it? It wouldn't be cool, would it? Let's be honest, right? It's like I could just say, you know, someone from my house, but. You know, so that's let's be honest with each other as well on that. Okay, gotta be right. Welcome to EKC 34. 34 is that next one? Yes, most likely I will be there. Most likely I'll be there in one capacity or another. I'm not sure what, but I'll probably go. Okay, last question from YouTube. It says, the question during practice last night against one of the sensei, he had noted that my men cuts often land too close to the middle of my shinai. I thought, tasukani, and it got me thinking about my after practice, well, until today. I'm sure that there are 1001 reasons that my cut being for my cuts being too deep, but one thing I would like to ask you, when you strike, how much effort do you exert in going forward? Are you usually leaping as far as possible or just as close as you need to? I tried playing with different distances of my moving forward, but it kind of screwed up my timing between fumikomi and strikes. They became disjointed. Is a good way to practice different striking distances or improve my you might recommend? P.S. I have a feeling you'll say just practice. So... yeah, I think this is quite a good point. I think what you're struggling with here is you're trying to jump the same distance every time you jump into hit, which is probably why you're often landing too close. All right, that's why you're often landing too close. So for me, yeah, I think you have to adjust your distance in terms of how far you jump. You don't always have to jump the same distance in your fumikomi. So if you're a bit closer, you make a smaller fumikomi. If you're a bit further, you can make a bigger fumikomi. And it depends on the waza and the situation that you're in. Okay, so absolutely, it's you know, it depends on the situation. You're adjusting it as you go, and you have to be able to do that. Okay, you have to be able to do that. So because it's screwing up your timing with your fumikomi, then that means that you need to work on the sort of positioning and readiness of your left leg, because that's why you're not able to perform the fumikomi as and when you need to. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Okay, there we go. That's all the questions for today. We didn't have too many. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. Thank you for the questions on Instagram as well that came to us live. I love the live ones because you sometimes put me on the spot, like you did today. But it was fun. I had a great time. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Shop at KendoStar. Subscribe to follow me on Instagram. Follow, right? Not subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube. If you're on Instagram, subscribe to YouTube, which is the Kendo Show. If you're watching us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, KendoStar International. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.